recent discoveries along our coastline, from Cape Free Point to Keta, and the promising prospects of the Volta Basin underscore this nation's rich energy reserves. As Ghana expands its infrastructure and creates a more attractive investment climate, the demand for oil and gas services soars. This presents a golden opportunity for investors looking to partner with local businesses, contribute to skills development through specialized training, and develop sustainable communities. Together, we can unlock the full potential of Ghana's oil and gas sector. Join us now to grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana. Welcome to Ghana, a land of opportunity and abundance. From generation to generation, the country's agriculture sector has thrived and evolved, providing abundant food, jobs, and raw materials to feed its factories. Today, Ghana's vast natural resources, which includes a wide range of plant, animal, and marine life, are creating an array of opportunities for investors to explore. Already, it's a top producer for cocoa, cashew nuts, shea nuts, palm oil, horticultural products, among others, which is bolstering its agro-processing efforts. Ghana is also strategically located and serves as a good transshipment point for food and beverages for the greater West African market. With a vibrant workforce, a ready market, and endless possibilities, Ghana's agriculture is not just about sustenance, it's about prosperity and innovation. Join us and be a part of this exciting journey. Let's grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana. Ghana is on the move. Our nation's rapid economic growth is fueling an insatiable demand for power. Recognizing this, we've made energy a cornerstone of our development. Our journey began with the iconic Akosombo Dam, but we haven't stopped there. Today, we are harnessing the power of the sun, wind, and more. With over 5,000 megawatts of installed capacity from hydro, thermal, solar, and imports, we are not just meeting our own needs, we are becoming a regional energy hub. Our surplus power is illuminating neighboring countries, a testament to our energy prowess. Our commitment to a sustainable future is unwavering. The government's Renewable Energy Master Plan is a blueprint for a greener Ghana, targeting 1,363 megawatts of renewable energy by 2030. As we expand our grid and boost generation capacity, we are getting closer to achieving universal electricity access, a key goal of the United Nations. Come on board as we write the next chapter of innovation, progress, and a brighter future. Grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana. Transforming raw materials into valuable commodities, Ghana is forging its industrial future one product at a time. Endowed with natural resources and a strong labor force, the nation possesses a robust foundation for industrial growth. Even more, there are right policies in place to support investment, develop skills, and enhance infrastructure. From agro-processing to automotive assembly, the manufacturing landscape is diversifying, creating jobs and boosting exports. Indeed, the transformation of the manufacturing sector is not merely a vision, it is a resolute commitment to unleash the full potential of our nation to become a manufacturing hub. Come, let's build this future together. Grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
HPW Fresh and Dry is an agro-processing company that specializes in dried fruits and snacks. Our main crops are mango, pineapples, coconuts, banana, and papaya. We basically convert these fresh fruits into delicious dried fruits for the world market. We started in 2011 with 15 factory employees. Now we have 900 factory employees at peak. The general workforce of the company, including farm workers, agronomists, technical workforce, stands at 1,400 across our 2 factories now. The growth of our business has been exponential. The principals have invested quite heavily in the business. Comparatively, from 2011 inception, where we exported 49 tons, in 2019 we exported over 1,900 metric tons of dried fruits. So basically, when we talk about 1,900 metric tons of dried fruit, we are talking about over 25,000 tons of fresh fruits processed here annually. HPW Fresh and Dry is a daughter company of HPW AG that has been trading in Ghana since 1999 in fresh fruit. HPW AG is basically a trading company that imports exotic fruits and vegetables around the world into Europe. The idea of establishing a factory in Ghana came from the principal's belief in the premium Ghanaian fruit and the intention to add value at source. Europe has the largest market share for our products. We also sell in North America, basically in the US and in Canada. We sell in the Middle East. We sell in the Oceania regions of New Zealand and Australia. We sell premium dried fruits from Ghana as far as Krasnoyarsk in Russia. We buy from over 1,600 suppliers, both here in Ghana, in the Ivory Coast, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Togo. For the community, we generate very important jobs. For the community, we have a lot of projects going on in the community. We are also the biggest employer in the district. We have business that provides jobs and security for people in the community, for people in Ghana as a whole, and all the actors in our value chain. I would like to use this opportunity to encourage all prospective investors out there that Ghana is the place to be. Join us, grow in Ghana, and grow with Ghana.
Casaprecon is a total beverage company. We are manufacturers of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Casaprecon is at a growth stage. What I want to say is that we are continuously improving upon our products and also increasing our market outreach. So currently we are looking at the local markets, and we have a broader focus with the global markets as well. We can boast of employing over 600 workers at the Accra branch. And currently, the Tanoso factory is looking to employ over 300 employees. This creates job avenue for those in the private sector. Also, you know of our favorite brand, Awake, whereby with every bottle that you buy, 1 peswa is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center at Kolebu. This is aiding in improving upon the health lives of people over there. We also have projects that has helped in creating of water supply to regions where water availability is much difficult to come by. Casaprecon is a wholly owned Ghanaian company, and our success is based on the stable economy that is here currently in the country, the rich supply of raw materials, political stability, as well as the market size. So looking at all of this has made Casaprecon a success story that is encouraging to other companies that would want to pick it up. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center has been a backbone to our success story, in that apart from being part of the Ghana Club 100, which has made it a brand publicity for the company, that's helped boost up our market's recognition. And this has promoted the brand in all other aspects of the country in terms of sales and profitability. We've had tax exemptions on some of the things that we have to import, including raw materials and then equipment. This has made the easy flow and then running of the company, and cutting down on would-be costs we could have generated, all thanks to the GIPC. When the president of the country came out with a very good initiative that was focusing on developing the public and private sector to both large-scale industries and small-scale industries, we took advantage of that to see how best we could also improve upon our market reach in the country. When we joined the 1D, 1F, we were given wonderful packages that enabled us to meet up to deadlines in setting up of the factory. Some of these included tax exemptions on some of the equipment and material that we needed to develop the factory. Also, the 1D1F project enabled us to facilitate certain registration purposes that needed to have been done. And with the help of the 1D1F, we're able to improve and facilitate upon all those registration needs and legalities that were involved. We here in Casaprecon, we believe in product development. So what we do is that we have a market research team that works hand in hand with our R&D department. So with good customer service relationships, we're able to hear the feedback from our consumers. And what we do is that we tailor our products to meet the needs and demands of our consumers. The legacy Casaprecon would like to leave behind is we would want to be recognized as a manufacturing company that produces safe, quality, and affordable beverages, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, with exceptional customer service for all the brands that we produce currently in the country and on the global markets. Dear all investors, both local and foreign, we would like to use this opportunity to encourage you to invest in Ghana, partner with companies such as Casaprecon, so that as one, we can grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
KEDA is into manufacturing of ceramic tiles and other ceramic products, such as sanitary wells. KEDA was registered in the year of 2015, and KEDA commissioned its first phase in the year of 2017. This year in September, Kedah commissioned its third phase, and probably by next year in June, Kedah is going to commission its fourth phase. Kedah is still expanding, and Kedah is going to make the Ghana the industrial hub for the whole West Africa, probably the Africa as a continent. Kedah, since its establishment in the Lower Inchaban Shama district, has created more than 2,000 jobs. As for the indirect employment, there are about 5,000. Majority of the workers are from the local communities. And also Kedah have the people from the northern region and the mine area where they supply Kedah the raw materials. Ghana used to import 100% of the ceramic tiles from other countries. And now the importation has been reduced to about 10 to 15%. So that means more than 85% of ceramic tiles are manufactured locally. And Kedah has contributed a lot of taxes, including VAT, the PAYE, and withholding taxes together with other taxes. The mother company of Kedah, which is in China, is the manufacturer of ceramic tiles production line. It ranks number 2 in the world in terms of its business. The production line and equipment we used is normally 20 to 30% higher than the other factories, and it also environment friendly. For the Trifor ceramic tiles, and Kedah is very strict on the quality control. There is a team comprised of more than 200 people to control every process. Ghana is a very good country for the investors. The political environment is very stable, and then the people, the Ghanaians, are very kindly. And of course, the government has been very supportive in terms of all the procedures, and maybe together with the policy initiatives. So Kedah has received a lot of support from the 1D1F board, which formed the decision for Kedah to invest here in Ghana and keep expanding. Under 1D1F, all the equipment and facilities for the production are exempt from the VAT together with other taxes. Yeah. Secondly, the raw materials there is also exempt from the VAT and NHIL duties. We received a lot of supports in the initial stage when we start our investment in the year of 2015 and 16, and then the GIPC, actually the government gave us the exemptions on the equipment and capital items. Kedah is exporting more than 70% of its products to the sub-region. I here encourage all the investors to choose Ghana as an investment place. Invest in Ghana, grow in Ghana, and grow with Ghana.
BFA Plus company, we started nearly 2 decades back. We are into the steel manufacturing and trading house. Today, we are very proud to say that BFA Plus has become a net exporter to whole West African countries. So not only we serve Ghana, but we also export to 15 West African countries. We are producing nails, binding wire, wire mesh, galvanized mesh, square pipes, Z profiles, steel plates, roofing sheet, iron rods. These are all products we are producing here. Recently, BFA Plus put up the smelting plant. So at present, we are also producing rebars from scrap. That is PS 4449 grades and different grades. Under 1D1F, under His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, we have opened West Africa's biggest fabrication plant, that is in La Pleku, where we are producing any type of fabrication where you talk about shades, different types. We can make residential buildings, tankers, storage facility, anything you name it, we can produce that one there. And we are very proud to say that currently whatever BFA Plus has produced in the last couple of months under 1D1F, we have been receiving very high report of that. The quality and the service what we have provided that it is really commendable. And at the same time, BFA Plus has also come up with a melting unit, biggest melting unit. At present, we have already started since last October, and very soon we are going to commission the rolling mill as well. Ghana Club 100 Award, we have been recipients for the last couple of years. And as per GIPC ranking in the industrial, we are always number 1 and 2. In the steel, we are number 1. So that has gone a quite positive way. And whenever you receive any award from a reputed institution like GIPC, that gives an additional edge, and when you're dealing with your other counterparties. And at the same time, it also keeps you on the toes to make sure that you should keep doing the good work what you're doing. And so far, the processing and working with GIPC has been really great. BFA Plus currently employs more than 10,000 people directly, indirectly. Besides that, we have more than 1,000 distribution network. At present, BFA Plus is having 12 branches across Ghana in different regions. Today, BFA Plus is serving housing industry, to the oil and gas industry, to the mining industry, to clients of corporates like what into the residential projects and fabricators and lot more. We are the promoters of DPSI International School in Community 25. We like to give a free education to the children. We keep on doing the free medical camps, eye camps, support the sports activity, and a lot more. I think the Ghanaian consumers, they are the smart consumers. What they believe in, the quality product at the right price and the service. If you give them the box of everything, and BFA Plus is one-stop shop for steel. So you name it, we have it. Ghana is like a second home. I was 32 years in Africa and spent 26 years in Ghana. So say when my children are born here and we love to do business here, it is the people who really make a big difference. Geographically, location, if you really look at it, is an ideal location to operate from here to the other West African countries. And there are ample of opportunities. The first thing somebody should say that when it comes to the quality of steel and the pricing, it is the BFA Plus. And at the same time, we also want to be known for our CSR activities. BFA Plus not only produces the quality steel, but they also produce the quality leaders for tomorrow. I would like to take this opportunity for all my dear friends inside and outside Ghana that they should take an opportunity to come and invest in Ghana, associate with a company like BFA Plus, grow with it. Join us. Let's grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
Keda is into manufacturing of ceramic tiles and other ceramic products. such as Central Wales. Kedah was registered in the year of 2015, and Kedah commissioned its first phase in the
Plantations of FINAP Ghana Limited is into plantations development, specifically the development of oil palm and rubber plantations and the processing of the palm fruits into palm oil. And subsequently, it will also be processing the raw rubber into crumb rubber for export. Plantations of FINAP Ghana Limited started its operations in Ghana in January 2013. And so far, we have planted 6,000 hectares of oil palm and then about 1,000 hectares of rubber. We have already established the oil mill. We commissioned the mill about 2 years ago. We are yet to establish a plan for the rubber. Originally, the plans of the company was to develop minimum 6,000 hectares of oil palm, 6,000 hectares of rubber. We have achieved the objective of the oil palm. For the rubber, we are constrained by environmental problems to the extent that we do not think we would be able to expand the rubber plantation anymore. Plantations of FINAF has completed its developmental cycle.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. For a breakfast meeting like this, I find it very vital to say good morning and get a response from you to be sure that we are good this morning. Is that okay with all of us? To get things started, I'll give just about a minute so that we all get seated and get this morning's event underway. Thank you. Dr. Vanessa Fala, ILO Director for Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Liaison for ECOWAS. Mr. Edward B. Eshonlati, Director of Investor Services Division, GIPC. Mr. Joshua Ansan, Secretary General, Trades Union Congress, Ghana. Mr. Alex Frimpong, CEO, Ghana Employers Association. Esteemed CEOs and guests from multinational companies, government agencies, trade unions, and civil society organizations, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this important breakfast meeting organized by the International Labour Organization and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, focused on responsible business practice within the context of the ILO MNE Declaration. Under the theme for this event, this morning, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing together key stakeholders to raise awareness and foster collaboration on ethical labor practices in Ghana. This discussion is essential in ensuring that multinational enterprises operating in Ghana adhere to fair labor laws, promoting sustainable business growth while protecting workers' rights, thus supporting Ghana's commitment to decent work for all. We shall also engage with some polls as we go along today to check your participation as we go along. My name is Atwa Basa. Truly, it is an honor to guide you through today's important discussions. This is brought to you under the auspices of the Trade for Decent Work project with funding from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Finland, with support from Government of Ghana, Trades Union Congress, Ghana Employers Association. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause for all these. To kick off our program this morning, I would like to inform you that there are some QR codes on the tables, two different QR codes. One says the program for today, so you can see that boldly written on one of them. The other QR code is very silent. That QR code is what you will scan so that we all engage with the polls. Thank you. Now, to officially get the program started, I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker, who will be delivering the welcome address. Our next speaker has been instrumental in driving foreign investments and creating an enabling environment for businesses in Ghana. Please let's welcome the Director for Investor Services Division at the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Mr. Edward B. Ashon Latte. A huge round of applause.
It's not here. So, the chairman of the Public Services Commission, the ILO country director, distinguished participants, on behalf of the chief executive of the Ghana Promotion Center, Mr. Yofi Grant, I welcome you all to this meeting. It is indeed a privilege to address all of you on the topic, not just for Ghana, but for the global business community at large. That is responsible business practices within the framework of the International Labour Organization's Multinational Enterprises Declaration. This meeting provides an opportunity for us to reflect on how businesses, particularly MNEs, can play a transformative role in shaping a more just, inclusive, and sustainable economy. In today's interconnected world, businesses are no longer judged solely by their financial performance or market share, but are being evaluated by their commitment to ethical practices, social responsibility, and their contribution to the well-being of the communities in which they operate. Globally, there has been a shift towards holding corporations accountable not only for their economic impact, but also for their environmental and social footprints. These days, we see a lot of CSR. Most companies publish reports on their CSR activities within a certain time frame. This shift is driven by consumers, investors, and governments who demand greater transparency and ethical conduct from businesses. In Ghana, the importance of ethical labor practices is of prime interest because our nation has a long-standing commitment to fairness, decency, human dignity, and values that are deeply ingrained in our culture and have shaped our labor policies over the years. And I'm happy to know that the TUC is strongly represented here. In recent years, Ghana has emerged as one of the most attractive destinations for investment in Africa, thanks to our stable political environment, strategic location, a growing consumer market, and a resilient economy. I'm saying resilient economy because we were somewhere and gradually we are heading back to shore. So it tells you how strong we are as a country. As we continue to welcome international enterprises and foreign direct investments, it is essential that we create an environment that balances economic growth with social responsibility. This balance is crucial if we are to maintain our reputation as a country that values not just profits, but also people. The focus of today's meeting, responsible business practices within the context of the ILO MNE declaration, challenges us to go beyond compliance and think critically about how businesses can actively contribute to social development. The declaration provides a comprehensive framework for multinational enterprises to adopt fair labor practices that promote decent work, equitable treatment, and respect for workers' rights. These principles are not only aligned with Ghana's national labor laws, but also reflect our broader aspirations for creating a more inclusive and just society. At its core, responsible business practice means ensuring that businesses, especially MNEs, let me say they're not just MNEs, but even our local companies, are actively engaged promoting this work for fair wages and safe working conditions. At the GIPC, we have a monitoring unit whose main function is to check compliance with our investment law. So they pay friendly visits to companies registered under our act, as well as those who are yet to register. And in engaging with them, we find subtle ways to check if they are adhering to some of these practices. My colleague Enyona will tell you more about what we do in line with the MNE declaration when she sits up here and we fire the questions at her. This declaration is not just a moral imperative, but a strategic one as well. Businesses that invest in the well-being of their employees often experience greater productivity. So there will be, at least the sick leave period will be reduced. and you have people coming to work on time and the likes. It also promotes innovation and loyalty, factors that contribute to long-term success. Furthermore, as consumer preferences shift towards ethical brands, companies that demonstrate a commitment to responsible practices are better positioned to compete in an increasingly conscious market. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center plays a key role in attracting and facilitating investments, ensuring businesses align with Ghana's developmental goals, and beyond that, promoting investments that will make sure that investors adhere to the M&E declaration. The government of Ghana complements GIPC's efforts by creating an environment that promotes ethical business practices through tax incentives, regulatory support, and capacity building initiatives. By encouraging investments in worker training, health, and safety, the government ensures that businesses adhere to fair trade employment practices. As Ghana continues its integration into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, upholding high labor standards will not only strengthen compliance, but also position the country as a leader in responsible businesses in Africa. As you all are aware, we host the Secretariat, so it's important that we champion the adherence to the M&E declaration. The Ghana Club 100, that is our flagship program, which we organize every year. Next, on the 11th, we are going to have the next edition, ensures that top performing companies are recognized, and they also play a role in setting standards for corporate excellence and responsible business practices in Ghana. These companies lead by example, showing that profitability can be achieved alongside ethical conduct. Ghana Club 100 members also participate in our CSR program, and there's also an award for the best CSR company for the year. Their commitment to ethical practices has the potential to influence smaller businesses and foreign investors, thereby creating an environment where responsible business practices become the norm and position the Ghana Club 100 as both a symbol of success and ethical leadership in Ghana. In conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you for taking time to be part of this important dialogue. The principles of decent work and fair labor practices, as outlined in the ILO-MNE declaration, are not just aspirations, but essential components of a thriving and sustainable economy. It is my hope that today's discussions will inspire all of us to take actionable steps towards building a more inclusive and responsible business. Let us work together to ensure that Ghana remains a beacon of responsible investment where businesses not only flourish, but also contribute positively to the lives of all Ghanaians. Thank you once again, and I wish all of us a fruitful and insightful session. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Mr. Ashon Latte. It is actually very remarkable to understand that as a business promoter for Ghana, we adhere to very decent and very standard labor practices here. Mr. Ashon Latte, one more time, thank you for those words that welcome us warmly. As we move along, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to acknowledge the presence of a superpower, a lady I admire much, who is fostering a very healthy relationship between Ghana and Nigeria right here in Ghana, the Minister Counselor, Nigeria High Commission. She is Mrs. Cecilia Eteng. Kindly give us a wave. Thank you. In so doing, our next message or key personality who speaks to us addresses us with a solidarity message. Allow me to go through this bio so we can understand the weight with which she carries to be here today. Truly a South African national, she is the country director of the ILO Country Office for Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Prior to this appointment, she worked as a senior specialist, employers activities at the ILO office for the Caribbean in Port of Spain, overseeing employers activities in 13 Caribbean countries and 9 metropolitan territories. Before that, she undertook several leading roles in the public and private sectors from 2004 to 2016. She was the executive director of Social and Transformation Policy at Business Unity South Africa, BUSA, a nonprofit company representing organized businesses in South Africa. Abusa Dr. Parla managed the implementation of various activities, including representing employers in negotiating various labor legislation and presenting position papers in parliament committees. She also served as the director of the Ethics and Integrity Management Unit and Special Anti-Corruption Unit of the South African Department of Public Service and Administration, where she championed the development of the public sector ethics and integrity management framework and represented the country at the meetings and conference of the United Nations Conventions Against Corruption and the OECD Working Group on Bribery in International Business Transactions. She was one of the experts from South Africa who reviewed the United Kingdom's implementation of the OECD Anti-Bribery Convention. She also served as an assistant director at the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. She graduated magna cum laude from Westcliff University, where she obtained a doctorate in business administration. She also obtained an executive master of business administration from the University of West Indies in 2021 and a master's in international relations from the University of the Witwatersrand in 2004. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome the Director for International Labor Organizations, Country Director for Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Liaison Office for ECOWAS, Dr. Vanessa Parla. And this time around, I got the name right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think I have come to Ghana so many times, and I know I have colleagues that are joining from our offices outside of Accra. So I'm privileged, and I think I can say Akwaba. And also living in Nigeria and been there for a while, I know when you speak in such events and you have a lot of prominent persons lined up, instead of repeating the protocol, you can just simply say, I stand on the already established protocol. So these are some of the lessons that I will definitely be taking back with me wherever my next journey is. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to also recognize the Honorable Minister for Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions. This is the minister that has really championed our work here in Ghana, has led and made sure that we are collectively pursuing the decent work agenda. And of course, the team from the ministry has been very instrumental in working with my colleagues here in Accra under the very different projects and initiatives that we are implementing. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize our social partners who also makes what the ILO is and what the ILO is about. And I see we have a very strong leadership of the Ghana TUC. Colleagues, it's always a pleasure to see you and welcome you this morning. I know also we have some representatives from the Ghana Employers Association, who's also been joining with us in this very important initiative, and as well as Ghana Federation of Labor. Let me also take this opportunity to recognize the representative of the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, which has been a very important partner in the work that we are doing under the MNE Declaration. Also to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland, whom financial support has made this work very important and instrumental. Also recognizing some of our other development partners who are here this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and members of the media, it's an honor for the ILO to be part of this very important collaboration, a collaboration that brings in different stakeholders that share a common vision, that has a common objectives as far as promoting the ILO MNE declaration. And of course, it is through our Trade for Decent Work project that we have managed to achieve several milestones, a lot of them which would not have been possible without each one of you contribution. And this shows how important collaboration and partnerships are in terms of synergizing, collaborating for a common good. So thank you so much for your for your contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are here with us this morning, it's because, as I said, we share a common vision, which is making inclusive and sustainable growth a reality in Ghana, where responsible, competitive, and productive enterprises contribute to the realization of the decent work agenda. Our colleague representing the Ghana Investment Promotion Center has also shared with us their contribution to making sure that our enterprises conduct themselves in an ethical manner and in a manner that is contributing to the overall economic growth of Ghana. Again, if you are here with us this morning, it is because you understand the importance of the issues linked to enterprise competitiveness, access to finance, and access to markets. And this is because you want to meet the expectations of buyers and consumers and of qualified labor by positioning your company as a sustainable and responsible enterprise. It is also because you are aware that managing and addressing challenges such as eliminating child labor requires collective and coordinated actions and are very necessary in terms of pursuing some of the very bold policies that we have and the programs that we are implementing, which actually begins to assist us in addressing the root causes of some of these challenges. To guide businesses in their efforts, the ILO has issued recommendations which are found in the Tripartite Declaration of Principles concerning multilateral enterprises and social policy, the ILO MNE Declaration, as it is widely known. And this is the reason why we are meeting this morning, to really integrate this MNE Declaration and get a better understanding of its purpose and how it is actually assisting us and providing the necessary guidance and framework to promote sustainable enterprises within the ambit of international labor standards. The declaration provides clear guidance on how businesses should respect workers' rights and can contribute positively to economic and social development. And this is why you have organizations such as the Ghana TUC being on the forefront of this journey and making sure that as we implement the declaration and its tenets, we are guided by the very principle that is the core of what we are seeking to do, which is to respect workers' rights. Fellow comrades, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, its principles are directed to national and multinational enterprises as well as governments, both home and host countries. And as I said, as well as our social partners, which comprise workers and employers organization. And this MNE declaration provides guidance for collective action for responsible business conduct and the realization of the decent work agenda. In order to support member states who are implementing this MNE declaration, the ILO established a help desk on business and international labor standards, and which really provides on-hand support and assistance to businesses who want to better align their processes and operations with this very important MNE declaration. And my colleague, Emily Sims, who is the coordinator of this ILO help desk, will be addressing us later and explaining more information about this MNE declaration. Of course, the social dialogue is at the core of what the ILO stands for. And the MNE declaration is also considered an important instrument to stimulate dialogue amongst partners at the enterprise level as well as the national level. That's why we have focal points that has been established to spearhead this important declaration. And of course, because of the evolution and the number of important interventions and developments in our global sphere, the declaration has also been through several reviews. The most recent was in 2022 to take into account the adoption of safe and healthy working environment as part of what we call the ILO Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work, which came out of the International Labour Conference. And again, there was another significant review of this MNE declaration in 2017 to take into account the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals by the UN General Assembly in 2015, as well as the endorsement of the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights by the Human Rights Council in 2011. This is to make sure that our tools, our guidance, our international labor standards are responsive to the dynamic and the evolving nature of the world of work. So as we are evolving and we are forging ahead in our different initiatives, we need to be conducting these reviews to make sure that our instrument remains relevant. And I want to believe that as we are evolving, the revisions and the reviews will continue as such. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has demonstrated a strong commitment to promoting the ILO M&A Declaration. This is the ILO instrument, as I said, on responsible business conduct. And the government of Ghana has taken a lead in designating a tripartite national focal points for the promotion of this very important declaration. And this focal points brings together the representatives of the government, the representatives of the social partners, comprising of the workers and the employers organization. And the focal points are represented by the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, as well as the Ghana Employers Association and the Trade Union Congress of Ghana. And Ghana is one of the 12 ILO member states that have designated this national focal points. This really justifies and puts out the commitment practically of how the country is really taking serious the implementation of this M&E declaration. And let me also say that the appointment of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center as the focal point for the M&E declaration is a significant step in ensuring that the relevant institution is actually charged with the responsibility to see the M&E declaration being implemented in its full capacity. And Ghana was the first country to designate the National Investment Promotion Agency as one of the national points to promote the declaration. Ghana leading and showing how these things are supposed to be done. Thank you. This is indeed a welcomed intervention. And since then, we are told that Cabo Verde has also moved and followed the direction of Ghana and also appointed its own investment promotion center as a focal point for the declaration. Honorable Minister, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by congratulating Ghana for its leadership in promoting the important ILO instrument and commend our national focal points in Ghana for their commitment and dedication that they have shown in promoting the declaration as an important intervention to promoting business, responsible business conduct and for the realization of the decent work. Of course, if you interface and work with the ILO very closely and intimately, you will understand how important this decent work agenda is in achieving social justice, in making sure that we continue to pursue the very bold and very relevant ILO mandate and ILO agenda. So I want to take this opportunity to once again thank each and every one of you who has journeyed with us so far and to encourage you to continue in this journey. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth continuing in our efforts, bringing together our different competencies and expertise, guiding one another, learning from one another, and also bringing some lessons outside of our respective jurisdictions so that we can see how it's done elsewhere and how we can even do better in our own context. So thank you so much. And I want to thank my colleagues as well who has been leading this intervention, Zakia, and the rest of the ILO colleagues here in Ghana for really making sure that we are able to make meaningful contribution. Of course, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with simple steps or single steps. And I believe that we have made several steps towards this journey. And of course, we will continue to contribute our financial and technical support where necessary to make sure that we forge ahead meaningfully and collectively achieve the kind of results that we want to see on the ground. So ladies and gentlemen, I say Akwaba once again, and I do wish you a fruitful deliberation and a productive engagement for this very important breakfast meeting. I thank you. Medasi.
Ladies and gentlemen, a resounding round of applause for Dr. Parler. Indeed, the lengths that the ILO has gone to make sure that what used to be in the dark ages of labor with these responsible practices, standardizing them across the sub-region and narrowing them into Ghana really are commendable. You may have called them few steps, but I call them giant steps. Another round of applause, please. Now, if you joined us live online on YouTube or on LinkedIn, please, we invite you to like, comment, and share so that friends and businesses across the world would experience the power that we're experiencing in this room. Now we will hear some brief remarks from our partners. First, we have a man who has played a pivotal role in championing workers' rights and improving labor relations in the country. Let's welcome the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, TUC Ghana, Mr. Joshua Ansah.
Chairman of GIPC, distinguished CEOs, my brother Kinsley Amo from the Employers Association, leadership of Ghana Investment Promotion Council, leadership of International Labour Organization, Madam Vanessa Fala, Sister Violeta Chiangagara, ILO workers specialist, Sister Ekuyo Fori Asimedu, National Program Manager for ILO Trade for Decent Work Project, leadership of Trade Union Congress, distinguished colleagues, all invited guests, good morning. On behalf of the Trade Union Congress Ghana, I would like to express our deep appreciation for the invitation to participate in today's CEO's breakfast meeting. The theme, responsible business practice within the context of the International Labour Organization, multinational enterprises and social policy declaration, is both timely and critical to the advancement of sustainable business in Ghana. The MNE declaration emphasizes the importance of multinational enterprises operating responsibly, promoting decent work, and ensuring that their operations respect the rights of workers while contributing positively to national development. This resonates strongly with the principles we uphold as trade unions, where the protection and promoting of workers' rights remain a cornerstone of our efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, as we engage in today's discussions, it is crucial to recognize that responsible business practices are not only about profitability, but also about ensuring that workers are treated with dignity and fairness. Workers' right to fair wages, safe and healthy working conditions, freedom of association, and the right to collective bargaining must be upheld across all industries. Let me add that while some businesses are making efforts to comply with these standards, the reality for some workers in Ghana remains troubling. We continue to witness various forms of abuses of workers' rights, including unsafe working conditions, denial of fair wages, and restrictions on their freedom of association and bargaining collectively. These violations not only undermine the dignity of workers, but also hinder the development of a stable and productive workforce. We are particularly grateful for the ongoing support of the International Labour Organization, especially through the Trade for Decent Work project. This initiative has been instrumental in helping us address some of these challenges by promoting social dialogue and enhancing the capacity of union leaders. It is our firm belief as trade unions that businesses that respect workers' rights will ultimately perform better and contribute more meaningfully to sustainable economic growth. Ensuring that workers enjoy fair wages, safe working conditions, and the freedom of organizing is not only a moral obligation, but also a strategic investment in the long-term success of any business or enterprise. We at the TUC are committed to deepening our collaboration with all stakeholders to promote responsible business practices that prioritize the rights of workers and contribute to fair and just society. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you sincerely for your attention, and I look forward to a very fruitful discussions today. Thank you very much.
Well said, Mr. Ansah. Well said, Mr. Ansah. Another round of applause, please. We will go on, but allow me to acknowledge some dignitaries of the TUC Executive Committee who are here with us this morning. I have Mr. Bernard Owusu, the National Chairman of TUC Ghana. Please give us a wave if you hear your name. Also, Mr. Kweku Chenebua Kodia, Vice Chairman of TUC. Mrs. Salamatu Mahama Brima, Vice Chairman of TUC. Dr. Kwabna Nyakon Otu is also the Deputy Secretary General of TUC. Gentlemen and lady, thank you for being here today. Your support is indeed felt. Second, in remarks from our partners, we have a man who represents the CEO of the Ghana Employers Association. He is the Director, Industrial Relations, Ghana Employers Association, Mr. Joseph Kingsley Amoa. A huge round of applause as he takes the lectern.
I'm here on behalf of my Chief Executive Officer. Representatives of the International Labour Organization, especially Dr. Vanessa, you are welcome to Accra. Secretary General of Trades Union Congress, Ghana, Mr. Ansah, Deputy Secretary General and the executive members of the Trades Union Congress, council members of the Ghana Employers Association here present, CEOs and executives from multinational companies, heads of institutions, agencies, and departments, distinguished partners and guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great privilege to address you today at this all-important meeting on responsible business practices within the context of the ILO Multinational Enterprises Declaration. And on behalf of the Ghana Employers Association, I wish to express our appreciation and warm felicitations to everyone present, especially our partners from the International Labour Organization, the Trades Union Congress Ghana, and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to emphasize that the world of work is rapidly evolving. And as Ghana continues to attract significant local and international investment, the role of responsible business practices cannot be overemphasized. It is imperative that we as business leaders ensure that our enterprises do not only thrive economically, but also contribute to the well-being of society, the protection of our environment, and the respect for human and labor rights. In this context, the ILO MNE Declaration provides clear guidance on how multinational and national enterprises can contribute to decent work, foster economic growth, and promote social progress. This initiative aligns well with our shared goal of balancing profit with purpose, an imperative that has never been more critical in today's global economy. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Ghana Employers Association, we are committed to supporting enterprises to integrate these principles into their operations. By doing so, we ensure that businesses in Ghana do not only remain competitive, but also contribute meaningfully to the realization of decent work and responsible business practices that account well for the environment, society, and government principles. As an association, we are proud to be part of this dialogue and to actively promote the principles of decent work and sustainable growth. Our collaboration with the ILO and our social partners over the years has demonstrated that when business practices are built on foundations of responsible management and ethical standards, the benefits are far-reaching for workers and society at large. Today's discussion is an opportunity to deepen our collective understanding and to explore both the challenges and opportunities that lies ahead in implementing responsible business conduct in labor practices. And I would like to emphasize that responsible business is not merely an obligation, it's a strategic advantage. Companies that champion good governance, fair labor practices, and environmental sustainability are better positioned to thrive in the global marketplace. It is therefore in our interest as employers and businesses to uphold these values as they ultimately foster trust, reliance, and long-term success. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank our partners as well as the Trade for Decent Work project for supporting the work of the MNE focal points in Ghana, and for that matter, this forum. I also want to express my appreciation to the many CEOs and heads of businesses and institutions that are here today for your commitment to advancing responsible business practices in this country. Together, let us continue to lead by example and pave the way for a future where businesses flourish hand in hand with the communities they serve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Amoa. Thank you. Another round of applause. Thank you. Mr. Amoa, please come with me. Step here with me. Yes, it's not over yet. Ladies and gentlemen, let me call on all our hosts, partners, to join me here from the tables that represent them. Let me have you forward. Let's take photos. Photographers, get ready. Let's take some photos. So let me have the host, partners, everyone literally involved in this to step up here. And I know I called you rightly so. So let's have the TUC as well, please. Just step up this way. Yes. Dr. Parla, yes. GIPC as well. Let's all step forward. I hope that will make enough room here so we can take this photo. Oh, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please step on the stage for me. Yes, so you'll be visible. All right, I realize that we are many. So can we have the very first level one step down so others can stand behind? Yes. Dr. Parla, please. Yes. Yes. Very good. Now look straight into the cameras and smile there. I will not deal with any boring photo this morning. Photographers, when you're done, please let me know. Oh, you're doing well. You're smiling. Keep smiling. One more to go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Focal points, please. Now, I think all of you can be up actually, so that it will be more visible this way. Yes. And please try to center a bit for me. Just 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the right. Yes. Very good. 2 more. Good. And for the 2 who just joined us, please smile as we did before. To be a celebrity is not easy. Please, can I have some help with the lectern moved? Ladies and gentlemen, please let's acknowledge the presence of the chairman of TUC. A huge round of applause for him as he gives us a wave. Thank you for joining us. Now, I would like to hear from you as we proceed. We'll take a moment to participate in a quick audience poll via the Slido app. The Slido app, as you'd find it, is on the QR code without any inscriptions beneath. Kindly take a scan on there. I believe it would be on the screens as well, provided on the screen. So if your phone can capture from the distance, that would also be great. Oh, show by hand if you're there. If you're there, let me see a wave if you're there as you scan. Now, if you scan this is something like this, you should experience something like this. We're going to take two polls right away. The first one says, to what extent do you agree with the statement multinational companies have a responsibility to ensure that their operations in Ghana comply with all labor laws and regulations? I like the very first answer that came swiftly. All right, so please vote in there. If we're done with this one, can we have the next poll? So the next one says, what are the primary challenges that multinational companies encounter when striving to implement responsible business practices in Ghana? I repeat, what are the primary challenges that multinational companies encounter when striving to implement responsible business practices in Ghana? And the options are there for you to choose from. I'd allow about 30 seconds and we'll bring the poll to an end for now. It is still the ILO-GIPC CEO's breakfast meeting here at the Asante Hall Aladisa Hotel, Accra, under the theme Responsible Business Practice within the ILO-MNE Declaration. If you contributed to the poll, a huge round of applause for yourself. Thank you. Our next speaker presents on the theme Responsible Business Practice within the context of the ILO-MNE Declaration. She is a person with an extensive experience in advising businesses on how to integrate labor standards onto their operations, and she will share insights on responsible business practices within the context of the ILO-MNE Declaration. She is the coordinator of the ILO Help Desk for Business. She is Mrs. Emily Sims. A huge round of applause, please, as she takes the lectern. She will be joining us online, yes. I've been reliably told she'll be joining us online. Ladies and gentlemen, please, you would keep your eyes to the screens while she joins us. Thank you. Yes, if you can hear me, go ahead.
Okay.
Mrs. Sims, that's being worked on. As soon as we have the go ahead, you would see it previewed. Thank you.
labor standards, on human rights, labor rights, and the labor dimension of environmental protection, while remaining sustainable and competitive. From Ghana TUC and the Ghana Employers Association. If those companies are not sustainable and competitive, then they simply disappear, and along with their international labor standards. A lot of those practices then became incorporated into trade and investment agreements, and now it is becoming fairly Um, what's interesting is partly the responsibility of business because they are in control of their business. But it's also the vacuum. Operating. Investing or sourcing from the home country of that German multinational or American multinational. It is able to contribution minimize the negative effects, but also to governments and not just host country governments, but also home country governments. Because the whole idea is that technical frameworks we fit for those other companies. The contracts based on the best way given us to be responsible. Big contract. So that's why you need a framework that is talking to all these different actors influencing what's going on in not just exceptional companies, but every company to work together. And the M&E Declaration provides that framework around general policy, which includes things like respect for the rule of law, but also companies coming into a host country to align their policies and practices from development priorities instead of going off and doing their own thing, but it's in synergies with all the great stuff that already exists in the country. Again, things like home host dialogue. Rights-based chapters around things such as employment, which includes not just job creation, but also social protection, abolition of forced and child labor, and non-discrimination, and security of employment. It also has a really interesting chapter on training, which includes provisions around lifelong learning so that you're investing in the worker, not just as someone who's an input to your production, but someone who will be able, if something happens to their employment, to adjust quickly when they go back into the labor market. But also access to training opportunities. And here it's really interesting because it's talking about at all levels, which includes providing opportunities at more middle management and senior management levels for foreign direct investors coming into Ghana for local workers, not just bringing their own workers from, say, Europe or North America to have middle and senior management positions, but creating opportunities on the ground. There's also provisions around conditions of work and life, which includes hours of work, wages, safety and health as core issues. And a whole chapter on good industrial relations, freedom of association, collective bargaining, but also consultation in the workplace, which, as we'll see in a moment, is really vital for sustainability, and access to remedy and examination of grievances. So a key way that the M&E Declaration is operationalizing this framework is through dialogue, which is why I'm so pleased to be here with you and to see that not just leaders of companies have come, but also the social partners and government. Because the dialogue that we're envisioning and setting up this framework is at different levels. So as I mentioned, the M&E Declaration is talking to government and enterprises, but it's also talking to the social partners and their critical role, because dialogue is supposed to happen at the tripartite level to set that national legislative and regulatory framework that creates an enabling environment for responsible business conduct and that policy coherence. And this should be done in dialogue. Between management and level, because as enterprises, really need to have a strong dialogue that's ongoing between management and workers. Given have sustainable enterprises. The best way to do that is through ongoing dialogue. Again, between the home their priorities and just companies between government and social partners enterprises directly for type rather informal. It's done for what is in the declaration called tripartite national focal points, of which Ghana is one of the leading states that has set up. They have taken, as mentioned by my colleague, Dr. Vanessa, the role in also including GIPC and Ghana Investment Promotion Center in a quadripartite national focal point, which is really great because they are the entry point for multinationals and they have ongoing support to them and can really play a leadership role in this whole process. So I was very excited to see that because that's not every national focal point. Just Ghana is an exception in including the Investment Promotion Agency. Now, the M&A declaration has the reason we focus so much both on the government policy framework and the role of enterprises, both multinationals and domestic enterprises, is one of the key goals is creating enabling factors. Two of them are really key: minimizing costs of compliance with expectation, and minimizing tensions pulling suppliers in different directions. So in terms of minimizing costs, there are lots of things buyers who are often driving this process, although not exclusively. Sometimes companies do these things of their own volition. And one of my favorite examples in the help desk of this is a credit card company in Singapore. It's not a credit card company that's creating the lines of credit, but the actual company making the physical plastic card. Now, I assure you that almost nobody in this audience, myself included, has ever given any thought to what are the labor conditions under which this piece of plastic in my wallet took place. Nobody. But this company was a little Catholic company, the family-held company that just wanted to do this because it was the right thing to do. And so they were asking me lots of questions. It was a lovely conversation. So I don't want to give you the impression that only because of exogenous forces like buyers' demands do people do things that are in line with responsible business conduct. It can be just from their own root values. But often they are buyer driven. And so we spend a lot of time, myself in particular, training, working with them through the help desk, developing guidance and tools to help them minimize those costs. And the key ways to do that are through harmonizing standards. So please, companies, don't make up your own standards. Use the International Labor Standards as your reference point. And that includes also with your codes of conduct and your audits so that a company is receiving the same message over and over rather than competing and often conflicting messages. But also to reduce compliance costs as much as possible. So one of the
Now, if you've been able to share it.
Or they're going to survive another 6 months or a year. And the goal is also to minimize as much as possible potentially pulling that company in different directions.
Hello. Nyoka asante sana. Asante baba. Asante baba. Yeah, baba.
Explaining to India or but in the productivity context, simply respect for workers' rights, which facilitates trust between management and workers. That is the cornerstone of any productivity improvement, whether it's lean production, 5 S's, just-in-time production, whatever you want to choose, Kaizen. It's all down to the trust and the harmonious working relationship between management and workers, where trust is a foundation, and behind trust is respect for workers' rights. So I'd really urge the government of Ghana and the social partners to urge the government to really take up a strong link between productivity improvement and responsible business conduct, because it's absolutely there, but it's underappreciated. And the reason that's so important is the other issue. There is a fundamental difference between push factors and pull factors. It's important that they both exist, but they're fundamentally different. So the push factors that are driving more and more companies to say, hey, I need to take seriously respect for workers' rights. Those are exogenous. It's because there are regulations that are either national or transnational that are driving business decisions, or markets access obligations, as we spoke of earlier, or obligations to access to finance, which is actually a growing area as well. Those are impetuses to start companies, especially companies that are nervous about change. I don't like change too much. Everything is just fitting together, and I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to do anything that might risk my going under. Those are impetuses to get companies to start their responsible business conduct and sustainability journey that otherwise might just stay in their comfort zone. But they're not enough, because the risk is, as soon as there's a balance of saying, yes, I would like to do this, and I know I'm supposed to do this, but right now I'm under extraordinary pressure and I need to pull back. There's that risk of reverting to the comfort zone, which everyone, myself included, does in times of stress. So having pull factors that want the company to either act independently or to continue acting even under pressure, that's because it's become endogenized. It becomes part of a company's way of doing business, and that it sees it as a competitive advantage, that it's part of change management strategy, which has been mentioned also by our previous speakers, and ultimately becomes part of how the company defines itself. So that it transforms that individual company's culture, and with enough scaling up of, again, things like linking it to productivity and competitiveness and what it is to be a good company and a leading company, it can transform all of Ghanaian and other countries' business culture. And that is the real key to durability. And that's ultimately what the M&E Declaration is about. Now, just quickly, the Help Desk for Business, which was mentioned previously. This is a free and confidential source for you where you can ask questions. The website, which I would encourage you to visit, has approximately 50,000 plus visitors each month, and we've answered over 1,500 individual queries. And those questions, even though they're confidential, we strip them so that they become generic questions so companies can learn from other companies, but also are able to seek out advice, without having to wait around for me to answer an email. So it's a great resource for you. We also have a self-assessment tool. This is mainly for those of you in the room that are larger companies, especially ones driving the supply chain. That can be very interesting for you. It was done in collaboration with the International Employers Organization of Employers, IOE. And it gives you a lot of information and checklists that can help guide your thinking on a good policy and practices for executing it. But there's also a self-assessment tool for the companies in the room that are on the receiving end. And the whole logic of this tool was to try and empower suppliers so they're not just at the mercy of buyers telling them, oh, well, the international labor standards say X, when in fact they actually say Y. And so that they have a deeper level of knowledge and understanding themselves and are not dependent on what their business partner is telling them, and can be proactive in trying to attract more high quality business partners that hopefully will be longer term partners that also share their values in a framework that's easy for smaller enterprises to understand. And just for your information, in case you're interested, we have actually starting today an mass open online course, a MOOC, on human rights due diligence for decent work. It's not too late to sign up if you happen to be free this afternoon, but hopefully it will be running again in the future and you can connect, and that's a free course. We also have an international course coming up in November, but we would be happy to try and replicate it in Ghana if you would like a similar course localized, so it reduces your travel costs and you can actually exchange and strategize more amongst you as Ghanaian companies, because the international course, it brings a lot of people from all over the world. Okay, and I'll stop here, just inviting you to our website so you can learn more about the M&E Declaration, and to invite you to ask me questions at the help desk. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Mrs. Sims, thank you so much. Very insightful presentation there. We would have loved to take a question or two, but we really press for time at this moment. And while we have a panel discussion coming up, I believe that we'll take that conversation, if you agree with me, into the panel discussion, if that's okay. With all the information provided as well on how to contact you, we'll do well to contact you as well.
Okay, thank you, everyone. My apologies. I actually have to leave because I am the trainer on that MOOC that's coming up in an hour. So I will have to say goodbye to you now, but wish you well on your journey. And thank you again for the great honor of being able to speak with you. Thank you.
You were busy, Mrs. Sims. A huge round of applause for her, please.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Continue, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take another opportunity to hear from you with our poll. We'll do this together. If you just joined us and you haven't scanned, there are papers on or sheets of paper on your tables with a QR code that you can scan from. Otherwise, you can also scan from the screens provided if you can pick up the QR codes from where you are, and we'll go through the poll on our Slido app. I believe this is the very current one that we are on. What are the primary challenges that multinational companies encounter when striving to implement? Okay, so this is more current. Yes, what specific steps can multinational companies operating in Ghana take to ensure that their practices align with the principles of decent work as outlined in the ILO M&E Declaration? You have increased wages and benefits for all employees, implement environmentally sustainable practices, promote gender equality and diversity in the workplace, all of the above. One student here is shouting all the above. Please don't listen to him. All right, I believe that would be the only poll we'll take at this point. Eventually, we'll give you a look at the distribution of all the polls that we've had here today. Continuing, ladies and gentlemen, it is the ILO-GIPC CEO's breakfast meeting here at Alisa Hotel under the theme, responsible business practices within the context of the ILO MNE declaration. I believe there's a video. Let's take a quick look at this video and we'll come back. Thank you.
In our normal household, there are some things that when you allow your child to do, it's child labor. That's allowing them to work with sharp objects. These are child labor. Allowing them to carry things that are heavy than their own body. This is child labor.
As a governing unit, we are supposed to ensure that we promote the implementation of ILO Convention 138 on minimum age and 182 on the worst forms of child labor after government has ratified it. As a labor unit, we have the sole mandate to go into the field to do total inspections, including child labor, especially in the informal sector. Labor inspections over the years has always been focused in the formal sector because in the informal sector, there were a lot of hurdles and challenges in there for labor inspectors to go. Trade for Decent Work came in to enhance the capacity of labor officers to know that they are able to go into the informal sector.
As labor inspectors, we move in fours, we move in twos when we are doing inspections. When we go for field, we teach our colleagues. These are some of the skills you need to use. And from their feedback, everything is moving on smoothly. Now, people don't run when they meet them. People even call them to ask them, oh, is this tool okay for my child? Meaning they see us as advisors, not as soldiers. Joining this training has really helped me personally and also my friends. Kudos to ILO and the team.
One critical achievement for us is the promotion of passing the HAF, that is Hazardous Activity Framework, into a law.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for that video and the initiative from Trade for Decent Work Project, an EU project financed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Finland. Another round of applause for the financing team and to all the social partners who go together with us, including the government of Ghana. As we move along, ladies and gentlemen, we have a panel discussion on the challenges and opportunities in implementing responsible business and labor practices. Our distinguished panelists include Ms. Enyonam Y. Agbeko, Head of Human Resource Division, GIPC. Please come and take a seat with me. Also, Mr. Joseph K. Amoa, Director of Industrial Relations, the GEA. Please join us. Please, you want to start sitting from the middle? Yes, yes. Please. The two on the extreme sides are reserved for the moderators of the panel. So you can sit anywhere other than the two from the extreme sides. Thank you. Also, Mr. Dauda Ibrahim Brima, who is the Acting Chief Labor Officer of the Labor Department. Please join us. I also have Mr. Andrew Ando Inyam, Community Relations Manager, Ghana Oil Palm Development Company. Please join us. Last but not the least, Mr. Abdul Muming Bana, General Secretary, Ghana Mine Workers Union of TUC Ghana. This session will be moderated by Ms. Invulata Chinyanagara, ILO Worker Specialist, and Mr. Kingsley Law, MNE Focal Point GEA. Let's hear from our panel on how we can work together to promote labor practices. If you need an extra microphone, I can lend you mine. All right. Over to you, moderators.
Okay, good morning once again. I'm sure we are still excited and anticipating to know more after a very high level and insightful opening session where a lot has been said about the multinational enterprise declaration. And this is a panel where we are going to have a a conversation which is tripartite plus, because it has been mentioned by speaker after speaker in the first session that the implementation of the multinational enterprises declaration goes beyond the government and social partners. It also requires other eminent personalities from ministries, departments, and agencies that are responsible for investments. The last speaker, Madam Simpson, also mentioned that dialogue is what drives the implementation of the multinational enterprises declaration. And this is what we are going to have, a dialogue. And my co-panel panel moderator is Mr. Kingsley. So without further ado, allow me to first of all give each of our panelists a minute or less so that you can introduce yourselves in a little bit more detail before we go into the discussion. Is that a right way to proceed? Are we good to go? Okay. I've been introduced already, but I will first introduce myself. My name is Inviolata Chinyangarara. I work for the ILO Country Office Abuja. I am the Senior Specialist for Workers' Activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dauda Ibrahim Brahima. I am the Acting Chief Labor Officer. Thank you.
Joseph Kingsley Amwa, Director Industrial Relations with the Ghana Employees Association.
I am Andrew Enyam Ando, the Community Relations Manager, Ghana Oil Palm Development Limited.
I'm Anyana Magbeko, the Head of HR and Admin at the GIPC. Thank you.
My name is Abdul Mumin Bana. I'm the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, representing the TUC.
Good morning. My name is Kingsley Lau. I'm an economist and a research officer. I work for the Ghana Employers Association. And of course, when you see the workers and employers moderating such an important event, it only tells you the strong culture we have built over the years as partners in doing this. So having heard from our panelists, Inviolata, I hand over to you to begin these discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The question for the panel is what are the challenges and opportunities in implementing responsible business practices in Ghana? And what I like about the panelists is that your organizations in one way or another has been implementing the multinational enterprises declaration. Our panel is going to run for about 45 to 50 minutes. Then after that, we'll open a 10-minute session for questions and answers. And each panelist is going to be presented with 2 questions, one at a time. So don't overload your first question with a lot of information. You have another opportunity. And if we manage time, you also have another final round, each one of you, to give us your parting shot. So my first question goes to the gentleman immediately on my left from the Department of Labor, the Deputy Chief Labor Officer, Mr. Dauda. The issue that we want you to talk about is an introductory statement, is somebody coming from the government ministry or department that is oversight for enforcing the implementation of the multinational enterprises declaration. Can you just tell us on why Ghana decided to promote the MNE declaration, and considering the national context, which principles of the MNE declaration are most relevant for Ghana, the ones that you think are a key priority, and how has been your ministry, as well as other line ministries and agencies, used this multinational enterprises declaration? Over to you.
Thank you very much. You indicated that we shouldn't load our initial. I will try to see how I can avoid loading the initial question with the answers of the one to come next. Anyway, Ghana as a sovereign nation, if just to remind us, shortly after independence, we became a member of the ILO, and as a country that respects human rights, we have ratified a number of ILO conventions and also domesticated them into our national laws, just to ensure that both human and labor rights are achieved at the workplace. And as part of that, the coming into existence of the MNE declaration is an impetus to realizing the rights at work. And to strengthen our resolve to be able to achieve the requirements of the principles, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations is leading the MNE initiative so that we would be able to provide a conducive environment for enterprises to create employment and also ensure that we provide a very even playing field to ensure that there is social protection and rights at work, and then also social dialogue. And this has always been done given the culture within our country where tripartism is promoted. It's always been done with all tripartite stakeholders. And to strengthen that, you would realize that Ghana is one of the 12 countries, as indicated, to have nominated focal points. And in nominating the focal points, the GIPC, the institution that promotes MNE interventions in the country, is one of the focal points that has been chosen. And it gives us the edge to be able to encourage MNEs to adopt the various principles within the MNE declaration. The MNE declaration also promotes MNEs to ensuring that along their supply chains, local enterprises that also play various roles within the supply chains align with the MNE declaration. So if you look at our context, in all these arrangements, our engagement has always been tripartite, and they have always been supported through the country programs that we have spearheaded by the ILO to ensure that we don't only promote jobs, we don't promote employment creation, but we promote decent employment among our people. In the trim, I think this is my initial submission.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Acting Chief Labor Officer, for the wonderful submission on how the Labor Department is promoting the issues of MNE declaration. Now, I may want to turn attention to the employers. We know and we have heard throughout our discussions in the morning, the strategic role employers and business member organizations play in promoting the MNE declarations. And one of such strategic role has been the support from Trade for Decent Work project in integrating the ILO Business Help Desk onto the association's website. And over the past 3 years, there has been some form of capacity building, activities also ongoing for your members. Could you kindly highlight how members of the Ghana Employers Association are actually translating the principles and the guidance offered by the ILO MNE declarations into practice? And my question goes to Mr. Joseph Kingsley Amo of GA.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Kingsley, for the question. A colleague questioning a colleague. That's beautiful. Well, the Ghana Employers Association has been doing a lot of work over the years, especially when the MNE principles was ruled out. And we have given guidance to our members throughout the inception. We have an umbrella body, the IOE, International Organization of Employers and Business Africa, who have been spearheading global initiatives as far as some of these declarations and labor standards are concerned. So generally, we want our members to be very responsible and be able to support and then initiate some CSR and then environmental sustainability governance system in the operations. So generally, from the report reaching us, we have observed that most of them have adopted fair labor practices, and which aims at eliminating child labor, trying to promote sustainable governance system, trying to put in place mechanisms that reward workers adequately, fair compensation systems, and also put in place a very robust occupational health and safety system to be able to get their business running. Because we have indicated that for a business to be responsible, you need to roll out very fair, all-inclusive system that will get your workers and the business and all other stakeholders along. We have, apart from their own initiatives of putting in place skill development programs, the association has also been supporting them to roll out specific training programs on some of these principles so that it will help their members well equipped, especially their key managers like the human resource managers who help in rolling out these standards. So once the HRs and other key managers are well equipped, it really helps the businesses to be able to implement these principles as the case may be. As far as possible, their internal mechanisms of engagement has also been deepened, and we have been supporting in that direction. Especially those who have trade unions, we've actually get them to open up to be able to engage them as far as possible. And to a large extent, it has reduced tension, it has promoted cordiality, and then it has also deepened social dialogue generally, as the case may be. Some of them have also incorporated corporate social responsibility in their activities, so that especially those who operate in rural areas and others, they have gotten their community along. We've been having challenges with non-cooperation from communities. And as far as when this initiative came up, we've been receiving reports that businesses have been able to roll out these CSR programs and is doing very well and is helping their businesses to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you for that eloquent statement. Let me turn over to the speaker from the TUC, Mr. Abdul Moimin. You are representing, you are the General Secretary of Ghana Mine Workers Union of the TUC. And it came up in the morning that all the principles of decent work have to be implemented in order for the ILO Multinational Enterprises Declaration to have good impact or positive impact on businesses. The question now for you is freedom of association is not only a fundamental principle and rights at work, but it is also considered as an enabling right, particularly for trade unions who are membership organizations. Do you face any specific challenges for this right to be respected, particularly by multinational enterprises, including national enterprises? And if it's a challenge, how do you think you can work with employers to achieve the realization of this universal and fundamental principle in rights at work?
Thank you very much. I must say that the Convention on Freedom of Association, ILO Convention, the Convention on Right to Organize, and for that matter, the right to collective bargaining were ratified many years ago. And so there is considerable, good basis for many of these rights, to be very visible on the ground. In Ghana, our constitution is equally clear. We have the right to freedom of association, the right to join and form unions. Our Labor Act is also very clear on that. Now, the question of whether there are challenges, there's no doubt about that. There are numerous challenges in the labor market which appear not only to stifle these freedoms and these rights, but also actually act as an inhibition at the workplace. And at the TUC, we have unions not only represented in the formal economy, but also the informal economy. In the formal economy, there's some level of, decency. And when I say decency of employment, encompassing the key pillars of the ILO decent work, agenda, i.e., the right to social dialogue, the right to social protection, fundamental principles and rights at work, and decent employment. And these are quite evident and visible in the formal economy. But the informal economy, the level of precarity is so high. I mean, we all do know that close to about 80% of active labor force in this country find themselves in the informal economy. Unfortunately, they are at the receiving end of all of these ills when it comes to precarity or precarious work. And so there's a lot that needs to be done to ensure that our compatriots in the informal economy also benefit from the decent work, agenda, i.e. access to representation by way of social dialogue, access to social protection, and all the other fundamental rights. And so it is a reality, and it's a reality on the ground that indeed these fundamental rights are not being promoted the way they ought to be promoted. I also believe that in the formal setting, there are quite a number of companies who get into our shorts. I don't know how they get onboarded, but it's pretty obvious that they either aren't onboarded properly, or they are onboarded, but they deliberately decide to jettison our laws. And these are very important issues that, as trade unions, we constantly have to contend with. I mean, there are companies who will say a no, particularly to the freedom of association, which is an enabling right for the right to collective bargaining to happen. And so you realize that particularly companies from the East, and without any apologies, companies that come from China. And I raise China because the GIPC ought to pay some attention to Chinese investments. They come into our shorts, they jettison our laws, and they do anything and everything that they want. And they are in the habit of violating these fundamental rights, which remain very critical to how productive as workers we would be at the workplace. And so these are very important issues that GIPC, which is a key part of the national focal point, ought to avert its mind to. But how do we work together with employers to try and get around all of these challenges that I have enumerated? Obviously, it begins from institutionalizing the whole idea of ensuring that the M&E declaration is effectively implemented. And that begins with the formation of the national focal point. Thankfully, we have been able to form the National Focal Point Committee. It behoves on us not just to talk, but to walk the talk. It's important that we get to work by ensuring that the principles contained under the M&E declarations are fully realized. And we look forward to not just the M&E existing at the national level, but that it will cascade all the way down to the enterprise. I believe that there shouldn't be just focal points at the national level, but there should be focal points at the regional, at the sectorial, and at the enterprise level. And that, in my opinion, if we work together with our tripartite partners, we'll be able to effectively ensure the full realization of the M&E declaration. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Abdul. Please, you can do better for him. Mr. Abdul Mumin, talking about challenges in implementing the fundamental principles and rights at work. And also you have gone further to prefer recommendations that we can adopt, how we can work collaboratively in achieving that. That being said, I may want to hear from best practices, some of the the MNEs on the ground and what exactly they are doing. So I may turn attention to Ghana Oil Palm Plantation Development Company Limited. I know that of course, with support from the Trade for Decent Work project, the project has built a lot of capacities of MNEs and national enterprises as well regarding the declarations as well as fundamental principles and right at work. Could you kindly tell us how your company is contributing to the realization of the fundamental principles and right at work in achieving decent work in general?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to you all. My company has been in existence since 1975. We have been very much responsible in our business conduct. We employ about 4,500 workers. So this conversation is very, very important to our operations. I must say that we believe in fair business practices, fair labor practices in the areas of collective bargaining. We have ensured that all the 4,500 workers are unionized. We have the senior staff union, you have the junior staff union, and we even have the contract staff union. So that is one thing that our company have done. It has given voice to the contract workers so that collectively to be able to bargain for their right. In addition to that, we have occupational health and safety policies in place. We have a competent staff who are in charge of our occupational health and safety practices. We continuously educate and train our staff in the usage of PPE. So you can understand, if you have more than 4,500 workers, you need to provide the right PPE to all of them, ensure that they come to work safe and they go home also safe. In the area of CSR, we have championed a lot of projects in terms of CSR in the area of health, in the area of education, in the area of community development. We are not only looking at our workers, but we also look at the communities as well. Specifically on the workers' welfare, we look at areas of free healthcare for all our workers. So all the 4,500 workers are on free healthcare provided by GOPDC. Not only that, we also have put all of them on workman compensation. So even if, assuming a worker comes to work and then get injured, there is an insurance policy that covers the person's health. So these are some of the policies that we have put in place to ensure that workers are well protected. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Ando. And inferring from the submissions, both Ando and Mr. Gbana, you can tell, or it is, I mean, it suffices to add that whilst significant strides have been made in this regard in terms of protecting the rights of workers, challenges still persist and requires collaborative effort in resolving them. And on that note, I may want to turn quickly to GIPC. And one beautiful thing about this engagement is that GIPC is actually a member of the Ghana Employers Association, and at the same time, the regulatory agency interfacing between Ghana and the multinational enterprises that come into the country. So I think their role in this discussion is very, very crucial. On that note, Madam Enyonam Abeko, we know that the Ghana Investment Promotion Center is an agency responsible for attracting and promoting investment in Ghana. Under the GIPC Act, 2013 Act 865 to be specific. In your opinion, which aspect of the M&E declarations will facilitate the achievement of your mandate as an institution?
Thank you, Kingsley, for the question. As you rightly said, GPC as the agency or the lead agency for facilitating investment into the country. And since we were made the focal point for the M&E declaration, we look at the aspects of employment promotion under the declaration. So and under that, the employment promotion, it talks about stimulating sustainable economic development, raising the living standards of the host nation, and then making sure that we overcome unemployment under the employment promotion. So when we bring in the investment into the country or the economy, we look at employment of the citizens. The investments that we bring in categorically states per the mandate that you employ a certain number of the citizenry. So when you come to do or you come to invest in the country, we make sure that you employ the citizens. You don't come here and bring your people to come and work. So this as one of the aspects of the declaration that the GIPC that helps us in promoting investments. And then secondly, we also look at technology transfer or knowledge and skills transfer to the indigenes. So when you bring the investments in, we make sure that you train our citizens to be able to work in the institutions. So you don't leave them, because once the individuals are trained, they also contribute to the economic development of this country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam, by articulating those two critical points where you were highlighting the backwards and forward linkages of investment, that it should critically benefit the locals, including around issues on technology transfer, so that we also have an equally skilled workforce in Ghana. Let me come back again to the Department of Labor, which is the department that is instrumental in driving the impetus to ensure that the declaration is implemented. This is a declaration that was developed and adopted through a tripartite process, government and social partners around the world. The issue that we now want to look at is how is the government of Ghana working with workers and employer organizations to promote better uptake of the principles in the declaration in Ghana. Yes, we have heard one of the companies talking about what is working in their company in the area of OSH, in the area of ensuring that all the 4,500 employees enjoy the right to collective bargaining, including casual workers, their right to freedom of association, including some of the initiatives that this company is implementing around corporate social responsibilities. There any challenges that you are still facing in Ghana as the government to ensure that workers and and employers fully uptake all the key critical principles of the declaration? And what is the role of government in ensuring that all the boxes are ticked? Thank you.
Thank you very much. MNE also promotes employment creation, and the focus of government is not employment promotion, but decent employment for the people. And by saying so, we are looking at employment that provides social security, that does not take or use children in their production processes, that does not also take advantage of forced labor in the production processes. So generally employment that is devoid of issues which are not within the confines of the MNE declaration and also the international labor standards which the government has ratified and domesticated into laws. Government also look at a situation where MNE will also promote training, as one of the colleagues said, and also the conditions of work and life, where wages and other benefits are inherent in the conditions of employment of persons who are employed by MNEs. Safety and health are also very critical. Like a colleague said, industrial relations, the issue of fundamental rights, particularly relating to trade unionism, is something that is very critical for government. And as part of this, the ministry, through the support of the Trade for Decent Work, has organized training for tripartite partners. We engaged persons from the Ghana Employers Association, the Department of Factories, our colleagues from GIPC. Then it created a platform for us to actually disseminate the decent work pillars as reflected in the MNE declaration. In doing this, it is, when enterprises exist and we promote MNE, it is also our duty as labor inspectors, because the law mandates us to actually police the laws that govern labor relations, to ensure that at least they are respected. So by training these constituents, particularly the labor inspectors and then factory inspectors, it is to provide them with the skills to be able to monitor the process, to ensure that the ideals or the principles contained in the decent work framework or the MNE framework are respected together with our laws. But the challenge is that with all these, we still think that there is a deficit in respect of awareness creation. We think that there should be more like we are having today, there should also be opportunity for our colleagues who provide labor inspection by way of monitoring the implementation of the laws in respect of the fundamental principles at work, to ensure that at least those people are given additional capacity to be able to spread wide. Because employment, like if you listen to my colleague who was in the video saying that mostly inspection is done in the formal sector, we think that the deficits are more in the informal areas as well. So we should build the capacities of these people or labor inspectors who by their mandate are expected to monitor the implementation of the laws so that they will be able to reach out to wherever we think the deficits are. And I think the Trade for Decent Work is helping us to do some of these things, and we will need that more. I also think that the frontiers of collaboration will need to be strengthened. We need to strengthen our collaboration because if you look at our labor law, it legislates tripartism, and we need to take advantage of that to continue to engage in order that we'll be able to at least identify the bottlenecks and then get them addressed. So I think that government as an institution cherishes the fact that human rights and labor rights at workplaces are very critical. That is why it is said that labor is not a commodity, it's a resource, and it is a resource that is provided by human beings, and their rights are very critical when it comes to ensuring that there is economic and social integration of the processes. So I think that this is what government is doing, and government would continue to do this to ensure that the labor environment is devoid of
Thank you so much, Chief Labor Officer. I can tell that Chief Labor Officer is very proactive. So for that matter, he has even gone ahead to add some of the recommendations that we can adopt to, solve the challenges that he outlined. That notwithstanding, I believe that given the tripartite fashion of the discussions, the challenges are not only unique to the Labor Department and for that matter, government. Employers in its efforts to advance or promote fundamental principles and rights at work, as well as the companies also on the ground, is we getting to know some of these challenges is very critical. So I'll give Mr. Amo the opportunity to let us know some of the challenges that as an association they face with their member companies, and that I also expect Mr. Andor to follow up with the on-the-ground challenges as an MNE, the challenges that they face also in their operations in the effort to advance or promote issues of decent work. Thank you very much. So just a quick one.
Yeah, thank you, Kingsley. Yeah, because of time, let me just be brief. The challenges are many, and one of them is our weak institutions. Even though we are working together with these government institutions, we realize that the capacity for them to support us, it's a problem. I know quite recently the Labour Department has received some support from the EU to be able to step up its operations. In terms of labor inspection from the Department of Factories inspection and others, I think the Dauda is here, but they are willing to do it, but it seems absence, yes, of logistics and capacity, even of staff, to be able to just conduct inspections to support us. Some organizations are adopting this voluntary compliance assistance, but we believe that there should be support, still support to help us to be able to roll out some of these initiatives. Another challenge is with the freedom of association, and I'm happy the trade unions are here. Mostly the trade unions knock at our doors with complaints about the fact that some of our members and other businesses are not supporting to be able to get their staff to exercise their rights as far as unionization is concerned. But when you dig deep, you realize that sometimes the posture and attitude, I need to be frank here, of some of our partners in getting through with this agenda is problematic. And some companies, we have to spend enough time to be able to get them to appreciate because of the posture of some of the officers that go there. And another thing too is with the social protection initiatives. Yeah, social protection initiative. Much as we have our social security running, you know, the indication is that those who retire from our organizations do not enjoy good pension. So most companies want to put in place some supplementary schemes to support their staff. But the funds to do it is a problem. The funds to do it is a problem. So I believe that as we continue to engage, we should look at all these areas and see how best we can work together to be able to put together very good and then robust social protection system to most especially help our workers.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Amwa. Just to follow up on Mr. Ando, I know that GOPDC, as an M&E company in Ghana, also operating in the eastern region in the plantations, you have benefited from some of the capacity building activities under the Trade for Decent Work project. And could you kindly, in 1 minute, highlight some of the challenges you used to experience as company, and after these training or capacity building exercises or workshops, how it has helped you to actually overcome these challenges?
Okay, thank you very much. One key challenge that we face, as I indicated earlier, even contract staffs are unionized. But the issue is that our job is seasonal. So you realize that we are not able to put almost everybody on a permanent job basis. That is one key thing. So what we have done is that we try to give workers a long-term contract, work contract, because of the seasonal nature of our work. That's what we plan to do, or we are doing currently. Again, capacity building that you talked about, we need to expand it, because we realize that it is only few of our personnel whose capacity have been built. And looking at the number of workers that we have, we need to expand on the capacity of our staff. And finally, I also say that we also have grower farmers, the supply chain, which is, we have about 6,000 grower who supply FFB to our operations. And it is very challenging trying to make sure that all of them are compliant to the MNE declaration. Again, we try to engage them because we have our grower department who try to keep on sensitizing them. But in a nutshell, I will say that it's very challenging. We need capacity to be able to scale it up.
So just to follow, which of these measures were implemented after the capacity from benefiting? I mean, after you benefited from the capacity building workshop from this Trade for Decent?
Yes. So I talk of the smallholder inclusion, the grower inclusion. About 6,000 grower. We are scaling them up so that all of them will be able to be compliant with the MNE declaration.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. In a minute, I also want to turn to the representative from Mine Workers of the TUC. You have also been a beneficiary of some of the capacity building programs that have been organized by the Trade for Decent Work. Going forward, what are future strategies does the TU have in mind to ensure that you continue to cascade to upscale some of the strategies and lessons learned or emerging from the multinational enterprises declaration?
Thank you. Indeed, the trade for decent work, the trade policy for decent work is a very important intervention. There has been a number of programs seeking to build the capacity of union leaders. And this capacity building should put us in a better state to be able to engage our partners. I believe that that is the starting point. Now, in respect of what we can do together, at the sectorial level, we engage our employers association to try as much as possible to deal with some of the inherent challenges that are militating against, the implementation of the M&E, declaration. I believe social dialogue, and for that matter, the effective use of social dialogue is the way to go. That is the way to go, because if we sit at our respective positions and we want to see a more, progressive labor market, it's not going to happen. And so we must get together constantly. It must be a continuous process. We must engage on the challenges as they emerge so that we work towards, resolving them. But I want to conclude by saying that it's important, like my good friend from the employer said, we need a lot more capacity building right from the national level to the enterprise. It shouldn't just be at that level of the national, but also it should cascade all the way down. I believe in doing that. Employers, unions, and the government will be able to make effective use of the M&E, declaration and make it more relevant to enterprise.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mumin. I may want to wrap up with Madam Agbeko. Of course, you have spoken about the need to extend the focal point from the national level through to the sectorial to the enterprise level. And speaking about the need to establish focal point in these various tranches, I want to know from the GIPC, since government was appointed GIPC was appointed as one of the national focal points. Can you kindly highlight some of the, examples of how you have used the M&E declarations tool or framework to actually implement interventions? I know today's engagement is obvious, but are there any other examples of interventions that you have spearheaded as a government agency in promoting the declarations?
Thank you once again. And as you rightly mentioned, this is one platform we are using to spearhead the declaration by bringing the awareness to the investors or the M&E companies that we have registered. So as I said earlier, we promote investments, and when the companies come in, we don't leave them, we register them as the Act mandates us to do. So we use this several platforms to spearhead the declaration on the decent work. And then we also have our monitoring unit that goes around to visit the institutions. They book an appointment with you, visit you, and then make sure that you are in compliance with our laws regarding decent work employment, and even the GIPC Act itself. And then we also have our Club 100, as was mentioned by our director, for awarding top companies. And as we do that, we provide criteria by which these institutions are scored before they are actually awarded. So we use all this platform to encourage the companies or the multinational companies to ensure that the declaration is implemented. And then yes, and then we also have what we call technology transfer, which the GIPC, it's an agreement that the GIPC kind of like, we signed that agreement with the companies, and before the agreement is signed, we also look at the provision you make for the training of your staff. If that is not clearly indicated in the agreement, GIPC wouldn't sign that. We sit with you, have a discussion. And then also during the renewal process, the companies that we register, they renew after every 2 years. And then before the renewal is done, we look at the reports, we request for some documentation, and we specifically look out for the training programs you have run over the period. We look at the social security, the SNIT payment of the employees. So we put all this together. And so GIPC ensures that decent work, safety, and security of employees is key to whatever is done in the various M&Es. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think our panelists deserve a big round of applause. Obviously, we have heard the various submissions, and all I can say is that though a lot is ongoing, significant strides are being made, but there are a lot of challenges that still persist. And we need to be aware that there's a business case to implementing decent work. There's a business case for employers. Obviously, for workers, we have benefits to implementing fundamental, principles and rights at work, and also to government. There's also a business case to doing same to achieving the overall decent work agenda and ensuring that we move our country from where we are today to another level altogether. So thank you very much. We have had fruitful deliberations from our context, and maybe in Violata, I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Thank you. I think we now need to move to a question and answer session.
So allow me to come in and help you right
Yes,
there.
please.
Yes. We are really pressed for time, so I'd allow for 2 questions. Yes, and then we'll pick the conversation after here. We try to keep the meeting within the breakfast context, right? Yes, so that we do not go past lunch. So we'll take 2 questions right away. Yes, I'll hand over the microphone if I can have hands up quickly.
Thank you very much. It's interesting when I was listening to my colleague, the employer, about some employers being hostile to unionization at the various workplaces. And the only reason he can give is a posture. I don't know if he can expatiate on that posture so that we can learn from that. Maybe our teacher, or I don't know, so she'll explain. Thank you.
Yes, that is right.
Mr. JK, please, before you answer that,
sorry.
Before you answer that, let's take the next question quickly, and then we'll be done with the questions for now. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. My question will be in twofold, so let's say 2 questions in one, since I have the opportunity. Yes. So during the presentations, I noticed the particular ILO convention we were talking about was enacted or adopted in 1977 and reviewed or properly amended in 2017. That's after about 40 years. And a few years have passed as well. I think work the environment, safety concerns have changed a bit. And so I'm wondering when we're going to do another amendment or holistic review of it. And this, if it's going to take another 40 years to do that, I think that that might lose the relevance. The other one, during the presentations or the responses, I noticed everybody spoke about how can we replicate or get this down from the national level to the region to the enterprise level. And the representative from the TUC spoke extensively about that. When the chief labor officer also spoke, or the acting chief labor officer, he also spoke about the need to make sure that this particular thing does not stay at the top and gets down there. And it all boils down to resources, 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 and then it comes down to money, money, money. So I want to know what the ILO, now that the GIPC has also taken this up, what the intention is, how are we going to get support, how are we going to get funding for this? Because I am a unionist, I am a health and safety specialist as well. We are part of employers because our union employs people, so we're part of the employers. And this is about the second time I'm hearing this particular declaration discussed at a forum like this. So we need to really get it down there. And I think that should be a major focus on this particular declaration. Thank you.
I think we can take these questions and then I'll take a third one from there. Or gentlemen, you can attempt to answer these ones while we take a third one later. Thank you.
Okay, then let me try to respond to SG's question. It's not a matter that the employers are trying to refuse unionization. The matter is approach. And I believe some years past, the National Labour Commission tried to get us to come up with a framework that will help us to have a process by which this unionization thing can be streamlined. Some of the businesses normally do not understand the principle that all the workers should be unionized, especially even managers, by virtue of their job positions, the roles that they perform. So we have time again drawn the attention of some of the national unions that approach should be much of education and sensitization, that you engage management, explain the principle to them. That's it. By the time most organizations realize, I'm tempted to even bring the chief labor officer in, a certificate has been brought, your people have been unionized, so let us sit down. So, we don't know anything about it. So the whole thing is that let's have a framework which will guide all of us to be able to engage, have the process, then everything will be fine. That is it. That's why some of that will at least put up some resistance. That's what I'm talking about. That's it. So it's not that they don't want the unionization at all, but social partners. Serious negative attitude towards the rights of Ghanaian workers. Once you have come to this country, you must abide by the rules of this country. But it's like some employers are non-touchable. They are thin gods, and even government cannot touch them. And they are doing things on their own peril, which is very bad. As unions, when you want to march on them, this country will not see peace. So let me use this opportunity to advise your body that constitute this employers association and the rest, to have a talk to some of these Chinese employers. Otherwise, going forward, they will not see peace. You also not see peace. because our rights are being trampled upon by these Chinese employees. Thank you very much.
I don't think this is a threat. I don't think this is a threat. But as I said, let's still have that bipartite engagement. Some of these concerns, we can address it ourselves as far as possible. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once Chief Labor Officer has been mentioned, I think I have the right to make a comment. No, what I just wanted to say is that, like SG said, sometimes it's like even some employers don't even appreciate the processes and they jump into resistance. But I think that it is a space that all the structures can work together to smoothen. I am aware there was a tripartite roadmap or whatever it is as to how to approach this thing. Perhaps if the stakeholders have forgotten, you can revisit it and we see the way forward. In respect of, oh, you want to respond?
Thank you very much. I think a direct question was asked to the ILO concerning the revision of the M&E declaration, that the first revision was after 40 years, and that the last one was 2017. I don't think that is quite the case. The first revision was in 2000, then the second one was in 2006, then 2017, as you correctly said. Post-COVID, there has been the most recent revision is 2022. So it is something that ILO has been looking at because the future of work has changed since COVID. There's a lot of platform work, digital work, remote working, and so on and so forth. Incidentally, the ILO even started discussions on the future of work way before COVID, recognizing that time is coming when work will not be as we know it, 8 to 5 in a particular jurisdiction, and that people had already started teleworking and remote working and all those kind of work arrangements. But COVID brought it home very fast, and therefore in 2022, there was a revision of the M&E declaration. Secondly, ILO is a specialized technical agency of the United Nations for the world of work, responsible for everything work, and therefore it is not a funding agency. We have UN Population Fund, like we have UNICEF and other agencies. However, collaboratively with our social partners, that is employers, workers' organizations, and government, we are able to raise funds together. So if we see this as a very important activity, we can together raise funds. And as you see, this particular activity is even funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the government of Finland. And therefore, fund is something that is quite impossible. And I can assure you, if government raises this issue as a very important and pressing front burner kind of issue, we can raise funds together for expanding the scope of the promotion of the M&E declaration. Thank you.
I just wanted to make a point in response to my colleague from the Employers Association. You see, the issue about posturing is two-way. And it's important that we avert our minds to the earlier comment that I made about onboarding. If you are onboarding employers or prospective employers into the labor market, you must let them understand that there are fundamental rights that ought to be respected. And you remember I mentioned GIPC and their role, because you are upstream, right from the point of entry. These guys should be made to know that Ghana is made up of laws, workers have rights, and those rights ought to be respected. And so before you get in there with your license to operate, you must ensure that you comply fully with the laws of Ghana. Some of them come in and they know next to nothing, but they belong to employers association. So what we want to encourage is that employers association, step up your education, step up your onboarding, let them appreciate that these are fundamental rights. In fact, they are non-negotiable rights. So why must we, be in a tug of war over workers wanting to express their right to freedom of association, and for that matter, right to collective bargaining? I don't think that is the way to go. But the benefits of collective bargaining are enormous. There's so much empirical evidence to at least support the fact that we should encourage more collective bargaining. Because at the end of the day, the productivity that you want is not machines that's going to give it to you. It's human beings that are going to ensure that they supervise the machines and bring the productivity. So let's look at it more holistically and stop this anti-union agenda where some employers by hook or crook will want to deny workers from unionizing. And I isolated the Chinese because, like the Secretary General said, if we do not onboard them properly, in the coming weeks and months, we are going to, be on a very standoff with them, because the Chinese simply just do not respect our laws, particularly, fundamental rights when it comes to workers. So these are very important matters, and if they are part of the Employers Association, treat them as a community and deal with these issues in the manner that we are raising them. Thank you.
Well, to wrap it up.
If I may say something here.
Okay.
You kept mentioning GIPC onboarding. GIPC does a good onboarding. You understand? There could be some recalcitrant ones in there. And so if I think it's more of collaboration. If there's anything that is at the hindsight of GIPC, once we collaborate, bring it to our notice, and we'll do what is supposed to be done. You get it? So it's more of working together to achieve one goal. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Rightly said, you can tell from all the discussions. And as a focal point,
Kingsley, before you wrap it up, there's a last question that I promised we would take. We can't take another one.
Okay.
I'd already mentioned we would take this last one, so please, one question from you.
Wow, this one question. This question, I think I have to bust them together. Goes to the Employees Association. One. Let me box it together. So this has to do with the past 12 years, some research that has gone on, and this is from the that is aspect of labor and the organized labor and then the union. There is a certain trend we believe politicians are using in all that through Employees Association to water down the voice of the technocrat by setting or sidestepping the CA collective agreement within some organizations by a way of progression to the top level, whereby politicians are appointed outside to come and endorse over them. And we are talking about fair labor practice here, and we are talking about decent of work. And so if workers are being denied and the cause of voice of technocrats are being watered down, and in all these organizations, you can tell for the past 12 years, that is exactly what is happening. So we can't get the actual voice, technical voice, you can't get the professional voice of the technocrat, but rather some other ways, these are what is being brought on board. You are seeing it clearly that at the front of certain public organization services, these are politicians that are being put there, planted there on the safe side. And we believe the Employees Association has something to do seriously into that, because they mind with all these steps coming out. My question is that this is just an intro. So the question is, what do we do if there is a way ILO can also, from this point, raise, let's take it, a convention from here to the west, just like it comes from the west to the south. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if that was a question and who it was addressed to, but I don't know if any of the panelists may want to take that.
No, but I think it's not a matter of employers association or whatever. I indicate that we have a long-standing bipartite forum with the trade union, especially the TUC Ghana. So some of these issues, try to place it through the structures and let's discuss it. Let's discuss it so that we see how best jointly we can address them.
Okay, for the sake of our time, if you really want to delve deep into the discussions, I'm not sure we'll leave here. It will move from breakfast meeting to perhaps a full day meeting, a lunch meeting. Yes, but to wrap it up, all the discussions being held here, one can clearly indicate that it's closely in line with the principles outlined in the MNE declarations, be it capacity building, be it social dialogue, be it industrial relations and collective bargaining. And as rightly some of the panelists indicated, it requires collaboration. Each constituent must play its part in drumming home the benefit of the MNE declaration. And in that case, we will be able to move from rhetoric, to action. Thank you very much.
Kingsley Violata and the panel, we can't agree with you more. Thank you. One more round of applause for that. Thank you. It has been great having you here. Oh, you just want to keep applauding them. Keep applauding. And for all those who asked questions as well, thank you for asking these questions. And for questions that we couldn't answer, we know where we can do. Please, the panel, let's take a photo. Thank you for the reminder. Panel, let's take a photo. Let's take a photo quickly. Yes, panel, please, let's take a photo. Yes. Yes. Photographers, let's do this quickly. While we are at it, we can combine another activity while they're at it. They're not blocking the screens. Let's have one final poll. Let's have one final poll at this point while they're at this. So yeah, the final one here is rate your experience at the ILO-GIPC CEO's breakfast meeting on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 is awesome and 5 is not impressed. From 1 to 5. Rate your experience at the ILO-GIPC CEO's breakfast meeting. If you've done this, thank you, thank you. And also one more time, thank you to our panel and our moderators. Let's have the reveal of the distribution. Thank you. Well, that's it right there, and I see that it's live, and so some are still voting. It's between awesome and good. Lovely. Can we start with question 1? Yes. Showing results, to what extent do you agree with the statement multinational companies have a responsibility to ensure that their operations in Ghana comply with all labor laws and regulations? 71% strongly agree out of 17 participants. What are the primary challenges that multinational companies encounter when striving to implement responsible business practices in Ghana? All of the above at D comes at 55% on the distribution out of 30 participants. Results being lack of infrastructure and reliable utilities, lack of cooperation within government agencies, limited access to skilled labor. While we look at the next one, what specific steps can multinational companies operating in Ghana take to ensure that their practices align with the principles of decent work as outlined in the ILO-MNE declaration? Again, this says all of the above, 92%, which is a very strong one there. Out of 24 participants, the options included implement environmentally sustainable practices, promote gender equality and diversity in the workplace, increased wages and benefits for all employees. Added to the last one, I believe this brings us to the end of the review of the distribution that we've seen. One more time, thank you for taking part in this poll, as we have seen, and we're happy that you're happy with the experience today. Thank you for putting your hands together as well. Can I have some help to put the lectern right there in the center one more time? As we've come to the end of today's insightful discussions, also please allow me to invite Mrs. Gloria Noy, who is Director of PPME at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, to deliver the closing remarks. A huge round of applause for her while she comes. Please, can I have some help to bring this lectern? Right there.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just do this in 2 minutes. Distinguished CEOs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to a close of this significant gathering, I'd like to express my heartfelt appreciation to all of you for your invaluable contributions to today's discussions. The theme, responsible business practice within the context of the International Labour Organization Multinational Enterprise and Social Policy Declaration, is one that requires continuous reflections, collaboration, and action. Our conversation today has reaffirmed the critical role that fair labor practices and responsible business conduct play in shaping a sustainable future for Ghana. The importance of upholding the principles of decent work and social responsibility cannot be overstated, especially as we collectively strive for a fair, equitable, and prosperous economy. I'd like to extend special gratitude to our panelists, the moderators, and all other speakers for their insightful and inspiring words, which have laid a solid foundation for the way forward. Your commitment to advancing labor relations in Ghana are deeply appreciated. To all CEOs, industry experts, and decision makers gathered here, your presence and engagement today signify your dedication to fostering an environment where businesses can thrive while prioritizing the well-being of employees. The discussions and ideas exchanged here must now be translated into actionable steps that promote a fair and inclusive labor market in Ghana. Finally, I'd like to thank the ILO and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center for organizing this breakfast meeting and for their ongoing efforts to promote responsible businesses practice in Ghana and beyond. Let us all live here with renewed resolve to implement the strategies discussed, ensuring that every employee in Ghana benefits from the principles of fairness, equity, and respect in the workplace. Together, we can build a future that champions both business growth and social justice. Thank you once again for your participation, and I look forward to seeing the tangible impact of today's discussions in the months and years to come. You all have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for being here today. This has been the ILO-GIPC CEO's Breakfast Meeting here at Alisa Hotel. While we are at it, we have been under the theme responsible business practice within the context of the ILO-MNE Declaration. And this has been brought to you under the auspices of the Trade for Decent Work Project with funding from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Finland, with support from the Government of Ghana, the Trades Union Congress, TUC, and the Ghana Employers Association, GEA. A huge round of applause for all our partners as we brought this together. As we call this finally to a close, also allow me to specially acknowledge the presence of Dr. Ikuya Ofori-Asmedu, who is National Program Manager for the Trade for Decent Work Project. Please, let's give a huge round of applause. And Doc, I must say you've also been very instrumental in guiding all of us in this room, especially me. Thank you for helping us with this. She actually forfeited her session to do the Q&A for lack of time to be able to do this, and I really appreciate you for doing this. Now, we have some packs for you while you leave this place. We pray that God bless all our endeavors as our businesses shall thrive, and indeed, for the best practices that are in labor, we shall apply. Can I have an amen? Fabulous. This is over. Please, you're encouraged also while you network. We have packs for you. Please wait to take them and do not be in a hurry, but use the opportunity to network. Let's talk some other time. God bless us all. Also, there's a group photo that we all need to take by the pool. We have a group photo to take. So please, let's all be encouraged to take a group photo, yes, at the pool. All of us, all participants, please, just by the pool. I'll lead the way. Thank you.
Number one, number so to number eight, Chekono, Akono. Number one, number so to number eight, Chekono, Akono. Yet number eight, number one, number so to number eight, Chekono, Akono. Number one, number so to number eight, Chekono, Akono.
A taste of Ghana.
Ready to invest? Ghana's opportunities await. Explore insight, success stories, and more. Unlock your investment potential today. Subscribe now and start your journey with us. GIPC, your gateway to Ghana's investment future. Ready to invest? Ghana's opportunities await. Explore insight, success stories, and more. Unlock your investment potential today. Subscribe now